happy weekend to you all. I've got a new microphone, which is good, so hopefully you can hear me better, and some new shirts as well, very posh, so that's going to make me more profitable obviously, and the same for you. So just a couple of things. Reminder to like the video please if you're finding it useful, and to subscribe. We did a midweek live stream for members, which has been uploaded a few days later, so that was a new first, so have a watch of that. You'll find it in the channel, and also in the link below in the YouTube you'll see the link to our Discord. That's a growing community of traders. It's getting better by the week. We're adding more content and lots of good trading info in there. There is a members section which is paid for, and we still have the 70% off offer till the end of August, so you'll find that all the details below, so you'd be welcome to join the Discord. Okay, so let's get into it. Now, the title of last week's video was around stocks hitting critical levels, and I think we're starting to see that. So let's get into it and start with S&P 500 as usual on the weekly, and what we can see is we still have good stochastic momentum up. We still have a healthy RSI, although there's a potential for bearish divergence here if price really starts to reverse, but we'll come to that in a minute. You can see we've got a high on price here and a low, and we've got a high here on the RSI and a ever so slightly higher RSI that you can see there, so that might lead into a drive of bearish divergence, so something to watch for there. Okay, so let's go into the main chart. So we can see that the weekly, let's just move that up slightly, the level that we've been covering and kind of warning about for several weeks up here in this fib zone and this daily level actually popped through, but it has rejected. So we got the reaction that we spoke about there, and we can see this in a lot of other stocks as well. I had a look at Amazon, a couple of others, all very similar, Nasdaq as well. So that's the picture on the weekly. We'll get into more detail on what the price action is doing. So daily kind of looks okay. This isn't great to see the RSI EMA breaking, but you are up into the higher regions, so any moves down that does start to be possible. So not a death sentence. Stocks have crossed down, obviously, with the move down on Friday, and not too worried until it starts to get below this 80 zone. Okay, so let's have a look at the chart in more detail. I've added this diagonal in here now that price is rejected here, because when you have 2 points, it's not really a trend, but a third makes a reasonable level. So should price come back, or when it comes back to test this may become a relevant diagonal. A lot of people don't like diagonals, but I think they're okay. So zooming in, we can see, let's just move this out of the way, you can see the swing failure pattern of the fib level and a rejection, so that's all clear. So structure wise, so stocks RSI okay, structure wise I think we're okay above this sort of 4160 region. If it starts breaking down but below that, then we might have some issues. So for me, I don't think this move is done yet. I mean, we don't do predictions, and we'll play it level by level, but what we often see in terms of retest of key levels. So back here, 25th of April, we had several attempts at this what is it, 40, call it 4300 level, and the rejection from that was pretty big, and it's been building up and come back up to retest it. Swing failure. Now, more often than not, when you see these type of patterns, it's gonna have another go at it and possibly break through. So just something to bear in mind, that historically I've seen that happen a few times, but you can't kind of trade it that way. But that's just something I'd be aware of. I'd be you know, we've got some levels to the downside we'll cover, but I'd be more surprised if it does break down from here. But that's just opinion. So what have we got below us? So bearing in mind we had a bearish close on Friday, it's likely to lead into some continuation next week. And key levels below, we've got the daily 200, it's always a big level. You can see some reaction off it there, and the 21 exponential. And also, if we zoom out, the point of control is right at that 21. That 21 will move up obviously on Monday, and it's going to come closer to the 200. So, you know, bounce to this level, possibly a wick down here, could be a reasonable buy zone, maybe a little bit of support in there as well. So I would kind of treat this as a bullish retrace until it's not. But below here, should it break down below this level, which we've definitely got to consider, given the overall structure. If it loses here, it loses the uptrend. We have got a bit of a volume vacuum down to this next point of control here, and I know we did a speculative a few weeks ago, fib pull, anticipating a rejection from this level, but we can officially draw that now. And if we pull that over here, so it's going to look like a bit of a mess. It's interesting that this high volume node here is not, it's almost the point of control, not quite. There is some levels down here. I mean, would it be particularly bullish if it gets down here? Probably not, but I do think that would be a level for a bounce. So that's how I'm viewing things. I'm looking for long positions around these EMAs and point of control. If it breaks down, look for any retests of these broken support levels as short positions, potentially down to here, just given that hole in volume. So that's where I would start to be wrong on my sort of bullish or slightly bullish theory, that if it loses this level. So that's how I'm looking to trade it. Just news wise, we did have, I think there was a major options expiry on Friday, so there'll be a lot of positions closing there. And Thursday and Friday next week, I think there's some bigger US news events. We got the GDP quarterly, I think it is, growth for US, and then I think on Friday is Fed Powell's speech. So that can cause some activity around Friday, but I don't think there's too much to watch out for between Monday and that Friday. So let's see how it comes into next week. I do expect some continuation down, and then we'll see if these levels are going to hold. All right, and then on to Nasdaq. I'm not going to cover in a huge amount of detail because it's very much similar to S&P, to be honest. Weekly, we've got the same potential for bearish divergence. Stocks are still up, but obviously they are a bit laggy on the weekly. We've got our point of control. Sorry, we've got a rejection from the same fib level, and we've got point of control, daily level, bunch of EMAs in here. So that area is, what is it, 12, yeah, call it 12,900 is another area of interest for long on Nasdaq, and below here then yeah, similar volume shelf down to the 12,000 region. We'll just have a look at the daily. Yeah, broken RSI EMA, same as S&P. Stocks a bit more bearish. Let's see what happens on Monday, but they look like they are going to cross down below the 80 if we get continuation on Monday. There is some good EMA support there. Let's just zoom in on here. The 21, you can see there's been interactions from that in the past, so something to look for there. No new daily levels to add. There's possibly one here, but we've got the 618 here anyway, so not much to add there. We'll do the same reverse fib pull on this one, and 618 coming in at that 12k region, which I think we said was the, yeah, so very similar setup to S&P. Again, not particularly bullish if it comes down here, but you know, you get away with a bounce, and same thing, if we start flipping some of these levels, you can use them as you can flip to being short biased. Okay, so that is Nasdaq. Now one thing we don't normally cover is Dixie, which is a dollar index. It's really a bit more related to forex traders, but it's quite clear at the moment with it's really bullish. It's putting pressure on a lot of other assets, particularly when we look at gold and I think crypto as well. It has periods where it is inversely correlated, and sometimes it's not, depending on time frame. But you know, big moves like this is people are moving towards the dollar. So just, it's interesting as well having a look at this on the weekly. It's really nice clear structure. You've got really clear weekly levels. We've got a really clear channel here, which will look a bit better on the daily. We had some bull div playing out down here, which has given us this move here. Stocks are kind of floating around, not too worried about those. And daily still looks bullish. So it's just to point out really that while this thing is mooning, it does put pressure on other assets. So on the daily, we can see this channel here had a bit of a fake out underneath it. It's moved back in, which is a sign of strength, regained the 21. It's closed above this weekly level as well, so it's going to be interesting to see next week whether that ends up as a swing failure or continuation. But to me, it looks like it wants more. Now we've got a midline coming in here, so you know, could be 108, 108.5. But if it starts going to the top of this channel, yeah, some big numbers there. So yeah, just something to keep an eye on. Okay, and then we'll move into gold itself, because gold's been pretty interesting. So again, gold's hit a major level that we'd covered. I'll move into the detailed chart in a minute. We'll just cover the RSI and the stocks, and then we'll see where it's rejected from. So yeah, RSI rejecting from this mid-level. Stocks are still up, but yeah, I'm not too convinced by that. They're pretty laggy, and this is quite a big rejection it's had here. So the daily will probably tell us a bit more. So if we look on the weekly, still in this overall big range, but we are in the lower half of the range now, so we can look for more range plays off this. Just on I'll come back to ranges in a bit actually, but because we've uploaded a recent video on ranges. So yeah, lower half of the range. Let's see if we can zoom right in and make this a bit clearer. In fact, we'll go to the daily because that might be a bit better. So remember, this point of control over here was part of our reason for being cautious at this level. So we had all sorts going on at here that I covered for the last few weeks. We called the low, traded that from the low, called the high. Again, I closed out one of my trades fairly early on, can't remember what that was now, and I closed the other one here, and I closed the second one on the sign of weakness there. Hindsight, yeah, I should have probably closed them both and shorted it, but I didn't take the short. So yeah, you live and learn. But yeah, this region here had so much going on. It was 618 point of control. There was EMAs in here, daily levels, all sorts, and we can see the rejection has been pretty big. Let's just see what percentage that is. That is 3.5%, which is quite a lot for gold. It doesn't move that much. And on margin, that's quite a big amount. So yeah, it's not looking great. It's broken major EMAs on the daily. Let's just flip back to the weekly. Yeah, it was never above the 21. So let's just go back to the daily. Broke the point of control here. You can see it bounced off it, then finally broke. So what I'm looking at now is the next setup. So bearing in mind we called the low, we called the potential top here, which has happened. Now looking at I've got a reverse fib pull here from in fact, if I delete this and I delete this, let's just make it a little bit clearer for everyone. So if we pull this, that's our low, that's our high, and we'll move it that way a little bit so we can see the levels. This is starting to look like a nice area of interest for a bounce, and that could still be considered neutral or bullish or not bearish if it bounces here, just because of that overall range we're in. It's not too concerning. I'll be looking to take this depending on the reaction, but we've got 61866, the GP, golden pocket as we call it. We've got a value area low in here as well. And the other thing I was looking at earlier was there was a pretty where is it? Where's my ray? Okay, so if you look back here, this was an old daily level, and it was a real key daily level because once price reacted from it, it went up. Now once price breaks a daily level, I normally remove them, but it is of relevance. I think it adds to an extra point of confluence if price comes down here. So this 1720, let's just zoom in. What is it? 1723 to 1729 zone. I'm going to be watching that pretty closely for a bounce and a move back up to possibly the point of control. If we want to go really crazy, we can do yeah, that's interesting. So if you, I think our 6.6 was just down here, so say price did bounce off this level and bounce up our 618. This is like fib inception. We've got three of them going on, but sometimes useful to do. So yeah, back up to this point of control. So we'll see how that plays out. In validation of that, if it starts to lose this area here, then yeah, it's not looking for too good for gold, and yeah, I'll probably lose interest in it at that point, other than short positions. But we've still got the range, to be fair. This bottom line, this weekly, real clear range support. So that's the ultimate one. If that goes, it's pretty much game over for well, not game over, but it's going to drop pretty heavily from there. All right, so gold's quite interesting to me at the moment, particularly on that daily and stocks themselves. I think there's some interesting setups there. So giving you all the levels, hopefully that's of use for gold. And we will go to so hopefully you can see my screen there. I'm going to go to the Bitcoin related stocks, so MicroStrategy, Cores, Marathon. You can see that I've talked about this before, but the SPY and Nasdaq have moved down 1.2, 1.8%, which is, it's not massive. You can see for MicroStrategy, Cores, Marathon, they're doing like double digits, 12 to 15%, and Bitcoin was, I think, 10% at one point. So this is where I was saying these things are like altcoins or Bitcoin on speed. So as much as they move up, they move down pretty quickly as well. So let's just see what's going on here. So weekly stocks are okay. There is bearish divergence here, and it's one of these where the bulk of it's probably already played out. The rejection from there, but I'm expecting lower to come for this. And we also have a rejection from the weekly 200 there as well, which is I think we covered the weekly 200 on this as well. I'm slightly surprised it didn't make the 618, but the 200 exponential is always going to be a key level. Okay, so let's move it on to the daily. Stocks obviously now heading down. RSI, EMA broken pretty heavily. Let's just zoom in on here. So from the high to the current low, that's 22%. Yeah, which is pretty big. So it's lost the daily 21, lost the daily 100. It's sandwiched between the daily 55 now. Notice there is a gap now here as well. I'll mark that on here later for next week. They're not really tradable gaps, but they're useful to know, and you can see one down here that I've got. So yeah, I think from the way this is looking, and looking how Nasdaq and SPY closed, I'm expecting some continuation on this. So levels of interest, I've got a fib pull here from this low here to the current high, and what do you know, it's coming in around this gap that is unfilled. So this sort of call it 215 to 2, if it's coming down here, I'm pretty sure it's going to fill the gap and wick this fib. So that's an area I'm looking at. Let's just have a look on the yeah, that's interesting. That's a major point of control there for MicroStrategy. So could it even come further down? Yeah, quite possibly. Let's just check the resolution on that. See if we can get that a bit better. Yeah, could come further down than that, but this area I'll be looking at from, as I've said before, I'm more looking at these as investment plays. I'm not kind of trading them. I think if you're investing, that sort of region is fine. Not financial advice, that's just what I'm looking at. If you're trading short, you've got the 21 above to look at, possible retests of those and lower time frame EMAs. Okay, so that's that. Cause, yeah, exact same setup. Point of control is a lot lower on that one. Cause is a lot more volatile, or quite a bit more, and Marathon again similar similar kind of setups where I think they are coming down lower. I'm not going to go into those to detail, but you can see how I'm analysing the charts on those ones. What else? Yeah, I think that kind of covers it. I'm not going to go into more detail on that. I spent more time on the S&P this week, but again, yeah, just to recap, these are your sort of key levels coming in here, and if they start to flip, you've got short options. I'm not sure I covered short options because I think I was saying I'm still looking at this as kind of bullish move down until proven otherwise. But yeah, we'll talk about if this really does get going, we can start flipping to looking at shorts. By the way, if you are short here already, if you did short that 618, great. That's a nice one. I would be taking profit here and moving my probably moving my stop to break even, because if you're if it is going to come down, you've locked in some, and you can ride this all the way down. But given we're in an uptrend on the daily and these support levels here, then equally you've locked in some profit, and if it stops you out, it stops you out, and you just flip to looking for long positions again. So yeah, giving you all the levels there that I'm looking at, and hopefully that's of use, and we'll call it a day there. Happy weekend to you all, and good luck trading on Monday. Okay, thank you.